Apple just announced the Apple Vision Pro. And as a show about geeky stuff, a big Apple announcement seems like something maybe we want to give our thoughts on a little bit.
Yes.
This is their new AR/VR headset that is going to be priced starting at $3,499, $3,500.
Oh, not $34.99?
No,
Because if that was the case, I'll go out and buy 4 of them.
that would be a real bargain.
I'll start giving them out for Halloween instead of candy.
$3,500. And this is a device that, if you haven't seen, you can go look it up for yourself, I'm sure. But it promises very high quality audio and visuals. Specifically, it seems catered towards some of the things that they've shown off in the early announcements are like watching movies in your home, as well as for office type stuff, having a lot of monitors around you,
Right.
and being able to communicate with other people, record 3D videos, do 3D kind of FaceTime type stuff. And they also have a special thing on the front where you can kind of see someone's eyes if they're using it.
Listen, those visuals and those graphics that they've been using to advertise this thing are kind of A, silly looking, and B, creepy AF.
Yeah, well, it's not, to be, as far as from what I understand, you're not seeing their actual eyes.
No, it's a screen.
It's like some kind of AI rendering of what their eyes look like.
Right. Which, I mean, they could have just put a really small, crappy quality camera in there and had your actual eyes in there. But no, it's AI rendered eyes.
But then they would have had to charge $4,000 instead of $3,500. So,
well, you're paying the Apple tax, where if anybody else made this, it would be $300.
Now, you were looking at this and you were saying, oh, this looks pretty cool. So
I do I'm not a fan of Apple things. I do have an Apple laptop because I do work in the entertainment industry. So my OnlyFans, I only use Apple products. But
sure,
I feel like this is something that every other company has kind of like promised in years past. And Google had, what was that, Google Goggles or Google Glass? And either they got bought out by somebody. They should have called it
Google Goggles.
Google Goggles.
Real mouthful to say.
But like every other company has either not been able to keep up with the demand of this or not keep up with the technology aspect of it. And I'm pretty sure Apple is the first company to do a decent AR VR hybrid combo.
They are certainly the first company to position such a device in a mainstream way and market it in a big mainstream way. You know, Facebook has been doing, or Meta, I should say, they have the Meta Quest, but they have only a little bit touched on AR stuff. They've been really focused on VR. For anyone who, I don't know, most people I think know at this point, but virtual reality where you're entirely immersed versus AR, augmented reality or alternate, I think it's augmented, where stuff you're seeing your real environment with things in it. So like screens or whatever, what have you.
Right. So you could basically have your computer monitors there with stuff going on around it.
What's weird to me about it is that, to me, the dream of AR, which I have been truly dreaming about for many years, when Google Glass was first announced, and eventually it didn't come out, but I have been excited about that product since it was announced maybe 12 years ago. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Because I think the first time I heard about it was like, I don't know if it was still on Tech TV days, but like early on, like Leo Laporte Twit days. That was when I first heard about it.
You know, there was backlash to it because of like, you could take pictures with it and they don't know if you're being recorded. We don't need to get into
that was the biggest thing. But the reason why I wanted it, GPS everywhere.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. The Apple headset, of course it's portable. It has a 2-hour battery life only. And it's still pretty, I mean, I haven't obviously seen it in person or anything. I'm sure it's probably more comfortable than other headsets that are on the market right now, but it's not glasses.
No, if you wear this on the street and people who aren't in the know will think, oh, you're some cosplayer or some just freak with like it doesn't look like, it's not just this. It's not our glasses that we're wearing with a little screen in front of it.
It seems like it was designed for home use.
Yeah, like we don't want to see you.
And to me, I feel like where I want AR, at least for a good percentage, is when I'm not at home. So that part of it is not quite as compelling to me. However, I feel like I'm very happy about this announcement because the same way that we needed Facebook to get VR off the ground with Oculus, I think we now need Apple to get AR off. Somebody has to make this thing big before I could probably not buy the Apple version and buy a cheaper one in 3 years.
Well, it's just like Tesla. Tesla, they made a fancy version of the electric car, but we needed somebody to start somewhere. So now, like other people like Kia, Ford, or whatever can be like, oh, we can do that just a third of the price. So yeah, the Apple version is going to be thousands of dollars, but I bet you Google or even Meta will turn around and make it $400 because you're a VR person.
I am.
Like you're not real. You're just a figment of my VR imagination. How much is a regular VR? What do you say, 400?
The new the MetaQuest 3, which is coming out in like around October, November, that's going to go for 500. That's a standalone headset, and that's a little. The previous one, the current one that's out now, is 300 or 400.
Because the only VR I've ever dealt with was the Google Dream, that came with the Pixel.
Yeah,
I forgot what they're calling that, but that's the only VR that I've really fully immersed myself in.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I love VR. It's a weird thing because where people talk about the line between VR and AR, and they are two very different use cases, but eventually I think you're just going to have one just like this. It does both. It doesn't make much sense to split them up, but maybe it does down the line. I don't know. The technology is still fairly young, and what these companies choose to do with it and what mass markets are willing to adopt kind of remains to be seen.
Because like we've talked about on the show many times that we've hit a plateau with TVs, cell phones, and all that. So now these companies that have all this technology and stuff are going to be moving on to something new. And in the grand scheme of things, AR, VR is still technically new, even though it was kind of around in like the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Vaguely, but
I do think we're going to see a world in our lifetimes where people might not buy TVs anymore.
I could see that.
I think we're all going to have headsets or glasses, and you'll just project a screen that everybody can see. And why should you pay for a heavy TV or it's an expensive one? You got to figure out how to mount it in your wall. It's like, where's your TV? Wherever I want it to be.
Right. There wouldn't be any more glares. It's in your head. It's right there. And now what is your max on paying for something like this? Because over the $1,000 mark is
that's no chance. I mean, the first Oculus, not the dev kit, but the first consumer version of the Oculus Rift, was the first VR headset that I bought, and I believe that at the time that was $600.
And that came with like 8 different pieces, and like it was
sure. I mean, it was the VR didn't really exist before then, so it was really. You were buying into a big thing at the time. And that's definitely that would be my hard limit on truly 600 I can't imagine going higher than that.
Cause like I won't pay that much for a video game console.
Right.
Like, or like that is my max. Like I think the PS5 we paid $499, $500 for.
Yeah.
And like, I don't pay that much for computers I pay more for, but that's also, you get more out of a computer. But I think of VR and AR as kind of a console type of thing. We're like $3,000, not a chance in hell.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see. I mean, I know it's going to do well for them because
it's going to do well because there's the cult of Apple. So those people will buy it.
Is it gonna, but how well is well? Like, I'm very curious because it is, even the original iPhone was like maybe $800 or $1,000. Like, I don't know what they've sold besides actual computers that are $3,500. Yeah, so this is a different level of product, but like and
do you think it'll have a glowing Apple logo in the middle of it?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
But I'm excited that it exists, and I'm excited to see what follows after it. It's certainly not right now. I'm not compelled. I don't really even feel like a desire for it. The way I probably will get the MetaQuest 3, because I'm also in that ecosystem like you. I'm not an Apple person either, so that's another big part of it. Is like I know that give it a few years, Google or somebody will make a similar product that's probably cheaper.
And I would probably have more of a need and more of a want for it if the price tag was closer to the metaverse version.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Because like I don't have a need, like the cars are the things I need that I'll spend money on. That's basically it.
Yeah. $3,500 is a lot of
I won't even spend $3,500 on a television.
Oh, I don't even. Can you even? Like, that's so expensive.
We were not to go off track, but we were shopping like because when we get a house, we want to buy an 85-inch, and you could just get an 85-inch TV for under $1,000 now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You
could get a 4K OLED 75-inch. For probably $2,000 or less. I don't think
100%.
They're not as much money as this. But anyway, this is coming out early 2024.
Okay. And you can watch so much content on that, be it movies, you can watch TV shows, miniseries.
True.
You know, any kind of show that you can imagine, you can watch on one of those.
Yeah, it would be, imagine sitting back in a giant life-size theater in your own home and watching the Back to the Future trilogy. Are you picturing it?
Doing it right now.
Are you picturing it? Can you hear all the, Doc, we gotta go back in time. Marty, it turns out if you try to do a Back to the Future impression now, it just sounds like Rick and Morty. Oh no, Doc, they really ruined this for everybody. I'm sorry, Marty. You know?